I think like really for many people, it starts at Dynamo or Grasshopper, right? They kind of get introduced to kind of the way of thinking about in some way these things is not so much about at least in the beginning about programming. It's more about how do you process data in some way. How do you make a process out of doing certain actions in a sequence? And that's basically what you chain together in a Dynamo script, right? You do something in the first step, then you connect it with something in the next step that does something, and like then you repeat, right? So that's the whole
kind of principle.
That's the underlying principle of basically of an algorithm, right? Because that is basically what you do with programming. It's just like a text concept of generating algorithms, and Dynamo is a visual way of doing it with boxes and strings, right?
And we can see in certain industries that are at a less mature level than in Denmark, where architects and engineers are beginning now to use Dynamo or Grasshopper, as you mentioned, to further develop there. But it's something new for them. But if we were to move away a little bit from the kind of Dynamo and Grasshopper into, well, what's the next level then from your experience and our perspective? Where are our organizations going now? Is that directly into coding, hard coding, or is it also using other types of program applications?
I think there's as many things. There's definitely a span, right? There's some who still just need to get to that level of having more people like using Dynamo. Right. And then there's the next level is, so Dynamo comes with these kind of predefined amount of building blocks that you can use, right? And people, at least the ones I encounter, the people I encounter, they want to expand the number of building blocks that they are available by being able to program a new one, let's say, or modify somebody else's code, right? That they made their own box, kind of adding custom functionality to Dynamo and to Grasshopper. I think that's kind of the next evolvement, right? And if you are then growing a bit more than that, you definitely then you're looking at, okay, so I have a team that can do their own boxes, right? We want to distribute it to several teams. We maybe want to distribute it to the whole organization, right? Then you want to have something that is better programmed. It's kind of all of it. I see it as kind of different tiers, right? And at each tiers, there come new opportunities and there come kind of new complexities. And usually the complexities are introduced with the more people who use it, the more problems you have. Right?
It's like anything else, I guess.
And the classic one is that if you have, let's say you have that guy who went from, he started doing some Dynamo, then he got better and he learned to code, he made his own 5 components or something. You don't want him to be supporting everybody who is using his 5 components, right?
Because you're losing his skill set also, right?
Because this is not what he's passionate about. He doesn't want to be like on Teams and saying you have to click this button and then you have to click this.
Troubleshooting, that's his role now, or her role.
You want him to kind of solve. Basically, you want him to continue either do components or continue doing consulting, so you can earn some money in the company, right? So you have to figure out how do we scale that, right? So if you have more people using it, there's more questions, basically, right? Usually that means that you have to code better because it has to be better explained. It has to have more error handling,
more intuitive, if you like, for
easy, more intuitive, easy to install, all these things. And usually it's just like more complicated code, basically, right? So then either you kind of upskills the guys that you have who are doing the initial components and make them really good at coding. Or maybe you get your IT team to come in and support them, and then it kind of grows. And then I think then you're kind of staying in that lane, right? Of still being connected to Dynamo and like, I mean, like in the end, you're connected to Revit, right? And then there's kind of a totally, separate path is that you are kind of jumping out of that environment, right? And maybe you want to have dashboards, right? There's a lot of people who are starting to use Power BI to create dashboards.
Yeah.
Basically, they are not so much relying maybe on geometry anymore.
Yeah.
But it's more about displaying data, displaying some kind of analysis, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of opens up the whole data science, right? You can make predictions with AI.
Yeah.
There's a big world in that direction. Right?
If you're an architect, an engineer, or even a quantity surveyor for that matter, and you're interested in this, where would you even begin? Where would I begin? And you're talking to me as a 45-year-old. Yes, I'm old. We get it. Yes, all the comments. Forget about it. If I had to start, where would I begin here if I wanted to learn Python or C# or SQL or whatever?
It's a good question. Like where if you have no idea where
did you start, Christian?
I started in university. We had with courses on Grasshopper, right? And then it kind of gradually I took a class on Python, so on.
Cool.
It kind of developed naturally. I think first of all, you need to have some kind of natural interest in it, right?
For sure.
You have to think it's interesting. Otherwise, you will never start. You will never have to you will never want to go through the pain of that. You have to kind of rethink how you think about things.
Yeah.
I think that's too big a barrier to if there's kind of no carrot on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. Yeah.
And then I think for many kind of professionals in the AC industry, probably where you start is in Dynamo and Grasshopper because it's so connected to what you do already, which make it really easy to maybe just string two components together and you can do something. And then as many other things the internet, YouTube, great resources on how to get started, try to figure it out.
So there's a lot of opportunity out there in relation to self-learning if you wanted it. You don't necessarily have to have do a formal education on it if that's not what you want to do. There's a lot of self-learning available. I was thinking a little bit so I'm a cost manager, quantity surveyor, and I now get access to Dynamo or Grasshopper. How could I apply that to cost? Is it only a design application, or can I apply? And again, I have no knowledge and experience, so I'm just.
I actually think that for people if you use Grasshopper, it's probably mostly for design. But I think actually people who use Dynamo, they don't really design anything. It's for kind of checking up on quantities, like checking that the right properties are there, generating sheets and so on. So this,
so you could load data to it, and they could then do a quality assurance check on a bill of quantities or a cost estimate against a specification. Have you everything included, for example? What is missing?
Yeah. So it's Dynamo, I think it's quite heavy on that kind of working with the kind of the values that are inside your Revit model, right? Somehow extracting them, maybe adding something. So it's more like a data processing concept tool, which definitely fits right on the bill for surveying, right? And Grasshopper, you have, I think there's many architects that use it for design. Like you have this parametric design, you can generate all these nice shapes and so on. But there's also many people who actually do I would say really advanced analysis, building physics, daylight, wind simulations, all that goes through. So there's even in Grasshopper, you can put kind of really heavy technical analysis on top of it.